Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today Arno will be tying a fly with a gnarly head in the Margaux colours, extra large orange.
Okay, so we had the vice. Margaux, what hook are we using?
We're using a grip 21711 NSL hook.
And that is a saltwater hook, but this popper is more of a jungle version for fish like peacock bass and golden dorados, and you can use the same hook for that. And we are going to start with by threading, just adding the thread to the shank. And Margaux, what popper head are we using?
We're using an extra large orange gnarly head.
Excellent. And what I did with it was to take the airbrush and paint it with a slight tint of red on top. There you can see. So if you watched my previous videos, you will notice that I built in some cool features into this popper, and one of the important ones is the little hook tie marker, or tail marker rather, little marker on the popper head right at the bottom there, and you use that to mark where you need to tie the tail, and from there backwards you can expose the tail, and from there forward you can tie your material down. So we're going to wrap the thread all the way to that marker, and by the way, I am using the new grip flat waxed orange thread. This is a fluorescent fire orange. So we wrap it to that marker, and then you skip a wrap to make sure our mark stays there, and then we wrap a few wraps further. The tail is going to be a mixture of, and you'll understand now why this fly is called the Margaux. It is not really the pattern, it's more the color combination. I use 8 hackles, strung saddle hackle, 4 orange and 4 red, 2 of each on each side, and I tie that about 3 hook lengths back. That's the length of the tail. I strip all the fluff off the stems of the feathers, just like that. Grab them all together like that, and we're going to tie them on top right there, and make sure they are well tied in. That's it. And just make sure we've got our little marker there, and I tie the stems all the way on top of the hook because we need that as a filler for when we put the popper head on. All the way forward, and we'll cut that off there. So there's quite a bit of tying on this, and then we go back, and then Margaux, please pass me the flash. We are tying pearl saltwater flash in, just 2 strands on each side.
It's a very beautiful see-through goldy thingy.
Pearl color.
Pearl color, and it's shining this whole entire rainbow right now. Very
nice stuff. And we put 2 strands on each side. I'm going to tie this side first, and you tie them the same length as the tail. Two on that side, this side, and we're going to grab another 2 on this side. there. Grab them together. Oh wait, I took 1.5 there. Grab another one. And tie that on the far side, also the same length as the tail. And wrap that forward. And now we're going to put the marabou in.
We're using orange. We're using orange marabou.
And
Red marabou.
red marabou. And we can tie them in together. Putting them together like that. Just want to take my thread back.
This is super fluffy marabou. First time I ever use it.
And what we do with this is we strip it down, pull all the fibers down, try and get hold of the tip, all the way down, and grab both tips together like that, and tie that down on top of the hook. To there. And then what I do is I take my thread back to where I tied them in, and this is just the tying tip all the way to there. From there, big open wraps forward to get my thread out of the way. The reason why I do that is so that by the time you get to tie it off, you unwind the thread to get to your point rather than wrap thread and trap marabou to get to the point where you need to tie it off. And you grab your hackle pliers, just grab my hackle pliers there, and you grab both these feathers, both the stems together in the hackle pliers, and you wrap those forward. I just want to make sure before I start that, to get that point of where I need to tie it off, I'm going to make another mark there with a permanent marker. Right there, then I know I'll be able to tie it off in the right place. Wrap that, and it doesn't really matter which feather you put in front. You can mix the feathers, you can twist them to mix them, there's all sorts of things that you can do with them. I'll wrap that forward. Just need to make sure you try and not to trap all the fibers. Make another wrap and pull all those fibers out, tease them out with a dubbing needle. And this is going to be my last wrap. And then I'm going to tie that off. I'm going to let that hang there. Now look how easy it is to get back to that spot where you need to tie it off. Just unwind and your thread runs back to that spot and you tie it off right there. And we cut that away. Pull that fluff away, pull that back, tie that down. If we take that head and we put it there, you'll see that it is right on the spot. Now, then this is another trick with a popper, where we tie a little bit of a shock absorber in. Take a little bit of glue. I use a contact adhesive. It's a real nasty yellow glue. And I tie a piece of foam on top or on the shank. That acts. I like a bit of movement on the head. So I cover the top with a bit of glue, and then I take a piece of orange foam, just a 2mm foam, any 2mm foam that you cut, tie that in on top, like that, to there, and then take your thread back, and then you cover that with glue again. And now you can cover it a little bit on the side so it's stick properly. And a lot of people will say, but why don't you use a hook with a king shank? You don't need a hook with a king shank. If you tie a popper the right way, then you don't need a hook with a king shank. And then we take this and we wrap that around to the front, and we tie it off in the front. So when we glue the popper onto this shank now, there will be a little bit of movement and it will act as a kind of a shock absorber. Tie that off right there and cut that excess. And this can be any 2mm foam. And you wrap that end in with thread and whip finish. And now we're going to be ready to mount the popper. But before we do that, cut that off. I take another hook. You can see I put a needle on it, a thread from the one hook marker through to the other, and it's quite a thick needle. So now I'm going to pull that needle out, and before I put it on that hook, I'm going to take a bare hook, same size what I'm using, because I need the size of that eye. And I'm going to stick it through from the back to the front to make sure it runs through the right path and come out in the right place. So that is coming out in the right place, there you can see it. Now I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to glue it onto the popper, onto the hook, and that is. Now we're going to just put glue on the front half of that foam, not all the way to the back of the tail, to the base of where the tail starts. Reason for that is because we don't want glue on the tail, and when we put it on, it will push some of that glue to the back, and then we'll have enough glue there. So you just glue like that, and then you take the popper and you push that on and screw it on like that. Screw that on all the way to the back. Okay, so after you screwed the head on, you can just make sure that it's right aligned, and that it is upright, nice and tight, that everything, the tail is in position, everything is in position, and that and you can leave it to dry, or you can immediately go ahead and put the eyes on. Margaux, what eyes are we using?
We're using green grip frog eyes with a little bit of black in. As you can see, there are little squiggles on it.
Okay, excellent. Let's put some of these on, and this is why we call it the jungle version, because these are frog eyes and not the saltwater kind of eyes with round pupils.
The jungle kind of eyes.
So we are going to glue them on with the contact adhesive as well. I always put some contact adhesive on. I don't really trust the glue that these things come with, and they fit perfectly in the eye sockets. For the extra large we use 9.5mm eyes and 8mm on the large and 6mm on the small and the medium, and make sure that pupil is nice and upright. There we go. And let's do another one on the other side and put some glue on that. And stick that in there. Right there. And look at that. And that is the Gnarly Popper in the Margaux colors.
And that's how you tie a gnarly head fly in the Margaux colors. Please smash the like button and hit the subscribe button. Bye!